Chapter 10. He had to wait for his chance to meet Grace. He knew by the sound of the duster in the front part of the house that she was back. But would she come as usual to his rooms and attend to things? No. I mean, like, what's going on now in chapter 10? So he had to wait for his chance to meet Grace. Now, father is willing just to meet the daughter-in-law. Now, father wants to meet her, right? Maybe father wants to talk with her for some reasons, right? Because he is curious now. And he had to wait for his chance just to meet Grace. But he knew by the sound of the duster in the front part of the house, she was back. Now it seems like in the other side of the house, she's back. How does the father know? Because she's the sound of the duster. I mean, like she's doing some cleaning or something, right? So dusting, and from that sound, father knew, Jagan knew, now Grace is back home, right, after some time. And now he was watching, he was vigilant. Will Grace come to his part for the cleaning things? Attend to things, cleaning matters as she used to do in the past, right? No, it didn't happen. It was over 10 days since she had come near him. I mean, like now 10 days has passed, but she has not come to Jagan's part of the house, right? She seemed to be avoiding him. I mean, like Jagan felt like Grace no longer wants to meet Jagan, right? He felt depressed at the thought. I mean, like father felt a little sad, father felt a little despondent or dismayed by the thought that why does Grace not coming to my side? Why does Grace kind of avoid him, right? What had he done that she could avoid him? And father thinks like, what wrong did I do to this woman that she doesn't come to my side, right? Had she shown all that consideration only in order that he might invest in the story machine? Now Jagan have this kind of negative thought as well, right? Okay, but again, did this all this time Grace came to my part of the my portion of the house, just to give me kind of these services, or just to did this cleaning only to get my attention to support that Marley story writing machine? Is that so? Was it an act? Was it a kind of a intention in Grace's mind that she did these things? Kind of, try to trick me? Right? Those are the things that Jagan thinks. Now that he had made his position clear, the barrier between him and the other two was growing more impregnable than ever. Now Jagan has clearly said, right, I don't want to take any part in your story writing machine project, right? Keep me out of your project. I have no intention of contributing to it. I mean, like it seems like, there's this barrier. There's this distance that's growing. Impregnable means cannot be pregnant. I mean, like cannot be penetrated, right? That's the idea. Impregnable means cannot penetrate, cannot go through. I mean, like the barrier is thick now. He felt like because he had made his so if you don't know the hard word, impregnable means cannot penetrate, right? Cannot go through. That's the idea. So what Jagan felt is like, because he said no to this story writing machine, this project, this factory, I mean, like the distance between him and Marley, and Jagan and Marley, Jagan and Grace, has become hard to penetrate. I mean, like the distance has become obvious, right? That's what he felt. And there was absolutely no way of his approaching her and asking for an explanation. And there's no way that Jagan can go to Marley's side and ask an explanation from Grace. If Grace come to his side, okay, he's okay with asking and kind of, talking with her, but he can't go to Marley's side and question Grace, right? What's the problem? Those things are impossible to do, right? That's what he felt. And there was absolutely no way of approaching her and asking for an explanation. He wondered if he could go in and talk to her, but what would be the use? I mean, like, father wanted to go and speak to Grace directly, go to that side and speak to Grace directly about these issues. But if Marley is there, right, after Marley is listening, My father felt like, what will be the use of me talking with Grace, because Grace will not tell the truth, because Marley is there, right? Oh, that's the issue. With Marley there, how could he ask her for verification? There you go. I mean, like, verification means kind of clearance, right? How can he ask for reasons? How can he clear his doubt when Marley is there? By talking with Grace. That's pointless. It would be best formal greeting. I mean, it would be at best a formal greeting. I mean, like, only what he can do, if Jay can go right now because Grace is there, right? He can hear the noise. He can only greet Grace or just talk some petty things. Other than that, he can't come into the business. He can't come talk about the most important things. So there's no purpose, right? Though he was ready to leave for his shop this morning, he sat on his cot, vaguely hoping that either Grace would come his way or that Marley would go out on one of his errands and he could have a word with her. Now, before every morning Jagan goes to the shop, before he's going to the shop, before he's doing the preparations, he was vaguely hoping. Vaguely means unclearly, in a kind of a blurred way. It's kind of vaguely, kind of in a blurred way, in a kind of a not sure, tentative way, right? Kind of unsure, tentative way. He thought like sometimes Grace might come to his side, right? Or Marley would go out on some of his errand. Errand means some work. I mean, like, you travel from here to another place for some work is called errand. You got something, that's right. You know, your parents give you errands, right? Go to the shop and bring a loaf of bread. Then you have to go to the shop, bring a loaf of bread, right? Those are errands, right? So he was thinking like, whether will Marley go for an errand, some work outside, and now waiting so he'll get opportunity just to speak with Grace, right? If Marley is not there. But there was no sign of that either happening, right? I mean, like, no, Marley is not leaving, neither Grace is coming to his side, right? So neither anything of these two were happening, right? Marley went on typing in his room. Marley, he could hear this clattering sound, right? Marley's typing in his room. After a while, the sound of sweeping ceased. The sound of Grace cleaning stopped, and he could hear some exchange of words between the two. Now he was listening carefully, right? Now Marley and Grace are talking for a while, a few words, right? And even that ceased, and he left alone, and he was left alone. And after some while, that conversation was over. The tremendous silence reigned over the house. I mean, like, in past they were talking, at least they were hearing this. I mean, like, Jagan could hear this dialogue, right? Now there's no one is talking, everyone is in silent, right? It's a kind of tremendous silence. No one is speaking in this house for the moment, right? Like, there's some issue, right? That's why when there are issues, why they are not talking, right? That's obvious, right? Even in your household, right? Sometimes, you know, mama and papa start a fight, right? For some reason, right? Then after that, for a while, I mean, like, they don't talk, right? Then there's a huge silence in the home, right? You also don't talk, right? Those are pretty common things, right? I mean, like, then after that, everything becomes okay, right? So, you know, by this silence, there's something, some kind of a tension, some kind of problem is in the air, right? It's all over the place, right? And the tremendous silence reigned over the house. There seemed to be no hope. I mean, like, he couldn't find out what's going on right now. Jagan is clueless, right? He quietly slipped out of the house and reached his shop. Now he anyway went to his shop, where life went on as usual, only the clamor at the counter destroying the peace of the afternoon. I mean, like, still the process is going on. Still he's offering his sweets, the packet for 25 paisa. So there's a lot of, I mean, like, huge, kind of a big clamor, a kind of a tremendous clamor in the shop as well, right? People are still lined up, I guess, like, people are still wanting more, right? So that was there. Counter destroying the peace of the afternoon. It was in the shop, it was a lot of noise, right? Right? In the shop. in the afternoon. Of late, Jagan had been unable to concentrate on the Bhagavad Gita until the crowd has dispersed. Dispersed means scattered away, went away. If it's a hard word, write it down. Dispersed means scattered away, right? So he is nowadays Jagan can go into the Bhagavad Gita. He can't even concentrate on the Bhagavad Gita because people are making a lot of noise right outside. So he has to wait till people are dispersed or people become thin. I mean, like people left, right, scattered, till he can read his Bhagavad Gita. They behaved as if they were entitled to their sweets, irrespective of whether there was a stock or not, which made Jagan wonder if he had been wise in reducing the price and whether he should not go back to the original rate. I mean, like, see these people, right? They were making one heck of a noise. They were making one heck of a trouble. I mean, like, see, they were acting as they were entitled for their seat. They were acting like, yeah, I need my sweets. Give me my sweets, right? Give me those sweets for that money. As if, like, of course, I love. It means that it's my right just to have the sweets, right? Give it to me. You have to give it to me. They are so possessive. They are so authoritative. They are so, aggressive. These people acting as they were entitled for sweets. I mean, acting as Jagan have to definitely give these sweets this way, right? They're acting like that. And they were not concerned about, they didn't care whether the shop have a stock of the sweets, the shop has any stock of material just to make these sweets. People didn't care. The people didn't care at all. They want their sweets for reduced price. That's it. How the shop makes it is not their concern, right? Like you see these things nowadays, right? In the television and everything. Like how real this situation is. I mean, I can give a very recent, example of this on this, like when this corona situation, some kind of local medics or Lanka Veddu කියන කට්ටියක් made a kind of a what you call a kind of a Ayurvedic liquid, right? It's kind of a what you call this penny, right? Penny හැදුවට පස්සේ මොකද උනේ? ඒක වෙද මහත්තයාට ඒක හදන්න බඩු තියනවද? වෙද මහත්තයාට සමහර දවසට ඒක හදන්න බඩු හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්ද? ඒව මේවා මිනිස්සු හිතන්නේ නැහැ. මිනිස්සු පෙරලගෙන ඒ පැණි එක ගන්න පොලිම යනවා. අනිත් ගෙදරකවල් කඩාගෙන තුලට යන්න හදනවා. වෙද මහත්තයාට සමහරකට තරහක් වෙනවා. වෙද මහත්තයා බනිනවා, right? ඒතන මිනිස්සු වෙද මහත්තයාට බනිනවා. වෙද මහත්තයා මිනිස්සුන්ට බනිනවා. ගහ ගන්න යනවා. I mean, like, see, this is post-colonial India, right? I mean, like, this thing happened very recently. We are in almost like 2020, 21 period, right? I mean, like, still see semblance, see the analogy, see the comparison, how things are not changed in this context, right? People are the same. Right? That's one thing, one good thing in studying literature, you find this universality, right? I mean, like, still the same people behaving as the same. They are not concerned about Jagan, right? Or Jagan's problems. They are only concerned about getting what they want, right? So they are acting a little bit mad. They are acting a little bit crazily. So Jagan think like, okay, what's the deal now? I mean, like, was it wise thing for him just to reduce the price? Or should he go back to the normal by increasing the price? When he increases the price, people will not come, right? Only the people who really want it, can buy it, afford it, will come. Others will just drop out, right? So he was thinking about these things as well, right? And the cousin had been absent for several days. Now, there's another issue here. Cousin didn't come to the shop for like few days as well. Because other days, right, regular days, normally somewhere around 4:30, definitely cousin comes to the shop, goes to the kitchen, and taste the sweets. That's his routine, right? And now cousin is also absent for several days. Where has cousin gone, right? He explained. Cousin came one day, right? And he explained I had to be away in the Tirupati hills with the judge's family. They had taken two of their grandchildren to the temple for their first shave. It was a grand trip. They had engaged three cottagers, and the whole temple was open to them. An influential man. I mean, like, what has happened to Kasim? Kasim has gone with the judge's family, right? Judge's family is the most important people in the Malgudi, right? Judge, to be the judge of Malgudi means a distinguished person. Imagine when a judge goes to family, if they are calling Kasim to attend and help, right? Then how important Kasim should be in the Malgudi, right? Even Kasim did have a regular job. I mean, just to do things like this, to be in places like this, Kasim is a significant person, right? In his own way, right? Okay, now Kasim has gone to Tirupati Hills. I mean, like, Tirupati is a very blessed place. Even nowadays, politicians are even going to this Tirupati Kovil and everything, right? Just to get their blessings. See, so even in old days, it is considered a place with a lot of miracles, right? So they have go to this Tirupati hill with the judge's family, and they had taken two of their grandchildren for a shave. What kind of a shave are we talking here? Head. They are shaving the first shave. I mean, like, you have seen, like, sometimes even some local people are doing it, right? Shaving the child totally, as if so it will help a healthy growing of hair in the future, right? So in this case, what they do is, like, they take these children to the Tirupati hills to do the first shave as a dedication for God. I mean, like, as a means of, right, proving their faith and a kind of a religious set of beliefs, right? We call this ideology, right? Okay, now, and it was a grand trip, and it's a good trip, says Kasim, right? They had engaged three cottagers. I mean, like, they have taken three cottagers. Like, it's like having, imagine you go to a hotel and book three cottagers, right? Or you go to some place and have own, like, a place. I mean, like, they have taken three cottagers, and the whole temple was open to them. I mean, like, whole Tirupati Hill temple, they were welcome the judge, right? As if it's his. I mean, like, the idea here is, the place is open to him completely. The same thing, right? We imagine in our case, like, if our president goes to prime minister, or a minister goes to a Kovil in Jaffna, the entire Kovil will be open to the distinguished person, right? I mean, like, they open it. When we go there, they don't care. Only a part of the temple or part of the shrine will be open to us. Other parts will be locked. We are not permitted. But when these people go, the entire thing will be open, right? They can visit all the places, right? All the functions of the temple will be carried on. So that's what means here, right? So the entire temple was open to them. An influential man means very important man, big man, right? Says Kasim to Jagan. They would not listen when I told them that I could not afford to keep away so long. They nearly abducted me. I mean, like, Kasim said, like, Kasim says, like, gives the excuse here, right? I mean, like, I told this judge's family, I could not afford to keep away so long. I mean, like, I can't keep away from Malgudi. I have so many work in Malgudi. I can't come with you for several days to go with your trip, right? Attend your trip. But they abducted me. I mean, like, almost they, like, took me forcefully. Like, aliens abduct people, right? When aliens want, they come and, put that flashlight from their flying saucers, UFOs, right? And just, forcefully take people, right, into their planes, right? The same way, I mean, like, forcefully, kind of without Jagan's will, almost something like that, they have taken me. නෑ කොහෙද යන්නේ මේ අපිත් එක්ක යන්න ඕනේ. යන්න තියාගන්න නෑ එහෙම යන් යන්න කියලා. Something like, and forcefully have taken. We don't know whether it's true or I mean, like, Kasim is adding these things to show how important he is, right, for Jagan. We don't know for sure, right, what's the dynamics here. Maybe partially true, maybe partially lies. However, we have to make the decision here. When we read, we have to come up with those things, right? Now, Jagan says like, you are wanted everywhere. Yeah, you are a very important person, VIP in other words, right? You are wanted everywhere, said Jagan. I have wanted you very badly since yesterday. See, I also wanted you. I also waiting for your service from yesterday itself. I am waiting for you, right? I am at your service. His cousin. Yeah, yeah. Tell me, what do you want from me? I am always here to help. Tell me what's your problem, right? Something like that, right? I am at your service, right? Has the reduction in price affected the quality of our sweets? Uh, I mean, like, the question is, has the reduction of prices affected the quality of our sweets? I mean, like, did the quality of our sweets go down with the price reduction? I mean, are we giving quality sweets still for 25 paisa without, uh, I mean, like, reducing the quality of it? Such a thing is unthinkable, I tell you. I mean, like, such a thing. No, 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 no. We never reduce the quality, says the other, right? I mean, like, we never ever reduce the quality. We always give good quality stuff, right? That was Jagan's principle from the very beginning. Okay, price reduction is a different thing. Still, sweets are the same sweets, right? No matter what. The Anand Bhavan Seth was here, says Jagan, right? I mean, like, Jagan also says, Anand Bhavan Seth was in his shop. He came to visit me. I know, said the cousin. Yeah, I know about that. They are talking about you all the time. I mean, like, all these people in all the town just talk about you. So I know that Anand Bhavan person, Anand Bhavan Seth has come to your shop, right? That's not kind of a new news to me. See, even he's not in the shop, right? He knows things. Whatever happened in Malgudi is like he's aware of it, right? It's like CNN in other words, like BBC in other words, like Reuters, right? He knows this man is a clever man, right? Uh, anyway, these things are token. I mean, like these things are conversed. These things were speculations, kind of, talked in the entire town, right? What do they say? Jagan got suddenly interested in the market reactions. I mean, like, Jagan was interested. Now, tell me, what are these people are talking about me? It seems you have agreed to resume your prices soon. They are telling that, they are talking about that. This is very temporary measure that you will come back to your regular prices very soon. I mean, like, this phase will be ended soon, right? This is not going to go forever. Soon you will come back to your regular prices. I don't know. I didn't think I have said any such thing, said Jagan, right? How do I know, right? I never said something like that. I can't remember saying something like that, said Jagan immediately. I have not talked about price reductions or anything, said Jagan, right? I mean, like, now if you can remember that situation, right? This is the problem with Jagan. Sometimes he gives words, right? Gives the wrong impression. He don't intend to give that impression, but sometimes he talk things the other kind of misunderstand, right? Sometimes if they ask for an answer, if it's he maybe shake his head, so the other take that gesture, other take that signal as a yes or as okay. But for Jagan, it's not a yes, so it's not a okay, right? I mean, that's his way. He doesn't mean sometimes, right, what's he talking or what's his words mean. Now here, see, he completely denies these things, right? He says, no, I didn't say something like that, right? How could they assume such a thing, right? The cousin said, at least that is what they think. It will do them good to stand in the line and see how you do things. I wouldn't be at all surprised if their men are in the crowd and buy the sweets cheap here and sell them at their own prices in their shops. There you go. Cousin said something totally different here to Jagan. Came as a shock, right? I mean, like, that's what the people think. That's what Ananda Bhavan says things, right? You will come back to your regular prices very soon. But think about this. I am not even surprised, right? I'm like, it will do them good. I mean, like, Anand Bhavan people will be very happy just to send some of their workers or their people to stay in this line, right? To stay in front of your shop, right? And stand in the line, in the queue, and see how you do things. I mean, like, how things are going on here. He'll be happy just to do some spying, as well as he will. I am not surprised if he sends some people, like the big businessmen, people like Anand Bhavan, Seth, or some other people, right? Other people who do some kind of these jobs, right? These shops will send some people just to buy sweets from you for a very low cost. Right? Their people will buy sweets from here for a very low cost, take to their shop, and sell for the regular price. So easily they are making a profit there, right? ලාභෙට ඔයාගෙන් අරගෙන ඒගොල්ලෝ කඩේට අරන් ගිහින් හොඳට ගාණක් ලාභයක් තියාගෙන විකුණයි. So who's losing here? Jagan is losing, right? Sweet cheap here and sell them at their own price in their shops. It hadn't occurred to Jagan that this was a possibility. It suddenly Jagan understood. Yeah. Others can do this too. They can do this too. It didn't occur to him before. He didn't got that. He didn't get that possibility before. He didn't think about it like that way before. Yes, that can happen. Now Jagan's a little worried, right? He looked desperate, and the cousin had to say, I mean, like, Jagan looked desperate, like, oh my God, that can happen, right? I didn't think about it. Jeez, right? And at this moment, cousin noticed it, and cousin said, right? He looked desperate, and cousin had to say, I was only joking, don't let worry you. Right? Yeah, I was just joking, yeah. I mean, I was joking, man. Seriously, don't think it that way. I was just giving you a possibility, right? That's it. It doesn't happen for sure, yeah. But it can happen. That's what I'm talking about, right? Jagan asked. Now Jagan changed the subject. Have you seen Mali recently? Did you see Mali recently? Somewhere around, right? He was at the judge's house last evening means sometime back. He was at the judge's house. His son is his friend. Judge's son is Mali's friend. He called me aside. He is ever so fond of me as his uncle. Nothing changes him. I mean, like, again, Mali called me aside. Side means just close to him and call me uncle. Always address me uncle. And nothing changes him. I mean, like, he's always the same. Mali is always the same, right? Jagan sighed, right? Why does he not talk to me properly? He can't speak even 2 sentences without upsetting me, says Jagan, right? Why does Mali not appropriately talks to me? I mean, like, anytime we start a conversation, anytime there's a conversation between father and son, Mali is upsetting me, says Jagan, right? The cousin said, pleased at the cousin, right now, the cousin felt pleased at the superior position he was enjoying, said rather patronizingly. I mean, now cousin felt little privileged, right? In other words, cousin felt little important here. I mean, like, see, now there's a problem between the father and the son. The father can't speak properly to the son, and son can't upset. I mean, like, son can't speak to the father without upsetting him, right? So now, say, they need even my help just to talk in between the father and son as a moderator. So no wonder he feels little proud, right? And superior position he was enjoying, rather patronizing, condescending. Patronizing is condescending. Kind of a bossy feeling, kind of authoritative feeling. Patronizing, then you speak as if as you are a boss, or as if you are in charge, kind of like a more important person, then you talk like this, right? Don't let it upset you, right? Don't worry, don't worry. Don't let it upset you. You are a wise man and you must not think of these things too much, right? Forget it, right? You are a wise man, says cousin patronizingly, right? Forget it, right? Uh, don't overthink. That's the idea. What did he tell you? What did Mali tell you, calling you aside? He called me into the garden while his friend had gone into the wash and told me that Grace was going back to America soon. Did you hear that? Yeah, I mean, like, Mali called me, and when the cousin, I mean, like, the judge's son was having a wash, he told me that Grace is going back to America. Don't you know that Grace is going back to America? Yes, yes, but I do not understand why. I mean, like, Jagan immediately say, yeah, I know that Grace is going to America, but I don't understand why. Why is Grace going to America? The cousin said, she's going on business. That's what he told me. Something to do with his machine. You see how plucky these girls are? Yet she goes thousands of miles to settle business matters, while we do not even understand what they are doing. Like, these girls are kind of very strange girls, right? She's going to America just to do some business work, right? She's on business. She's going for a summer business errand, right? That's what Mali told me. Something to do with the machine. I mean, like, this is about the story writing machine, for just, you know, to clarify something. Grace is going from Malgudi to America again, right? Uh, so you see how plucky these girls are? I mean, like, you see how selective these girls are? Do you see how smart these girls are, right? To make a business decision, she goes from here to America, right? She goes thousands of miles to settle business matters. As a matter of fact, she goes, you know, the distance between India and America is like 1,000 kilometers, right? So they are going 1,000 miles to settle these matters, while we do not even understand what they are doing. Like, for us, it's like we don't have no idea why these people are suddenly traveling. What's the motive behind these travels, right? We are just like frogs in a well, in other words, right? They are restricted. These people are very open. They suddenly travel a lot for business purposes. So, in that way, cousin is just giving this information, second-hand information for Jagan, right? Jagan did not correct cousin, and Jagan definitely no, that's not the reason, right? There's something bigger than that. That's not the truth, right? Jagan did not correct him. Jagan never said the truth to cousin, right? But kept his knowledge of the facts of himself. Jagan, no, there's some other big problem here. That's why. Jagan, no, right? Because Mali told. Because there's no factory, there's no purpose like Grace staying here. That's why she's going to America, right? So that story, Jagan kept quiet, right? Jagan kept his lips sealed, his lips sealed. Not a single word came out of Jagan. See how tricky Jagan is sometimes, right? How smart Jagan is sometimes, right? He doesn't speak those things, right? Very personal things he don't speak. He went to cousin, right? The facts himself. Well, of course I had heard that, but I want to know if there are anything more. Yeah, I know that. Jagan says. See, he says, I know that Grace is traveling to America for a business purpose. I know. But I wanted to know, is there anything else? I mean, like, is there anything more than that? That's why I asked you. Says Jagan to cousin, right? His business seems to be promising, said the cousin. The Ananda Bhavan said, and a few others have promised to buy shares in his company. I mean, like, see, everyone in Malgudi speaks about Mali's business. His business seems to be promising. I mean, like, it's very promising. Everyone is kind of interested in this. Then the Seth in Anand Bhavan has promised, as a matter of fact, just to buy some shares in his company, in the story writing company. He's promised to buy some shares, right? And listening to this kind of talk, Jagan asked with genuine surprise. A genuine wonder means genuine surprise. He was awestruck with these kind of ideas, right? How does he talk to them? I mean, like, how does Mali speak to these people in the town? Cousin explained like he is all over the town and very active. I met him here, there, everywhere. I mean, like Mal is traveling all over the Malgudi. He is trying to impress these business people. He's trying to impress the wealthy people, try to get their attention. I mean, like he's all over the town, everywhere. He's traveling everywhere in Malgudi. I met him here, there, everywhere. I can see him here. I can see him there. I can see him traveling and all over the place. Right? Explains cousin. I want your help, said Jagan. Don't laugh at me. I have to speak to Grace and find out few things for myself. Now he immediately comes into the business, right? Jagan asks some help, right? I want some help from you. Hey, cousin, don't laugh at me, right? This is something serious. I seriously, because it's a laughable matter in the first place, right? Why does Jagan needs help just to speak to a girl, the daughter-in-law who lives in his own house from a third party like cousin? It's a laughable act itself, right? But still he says like, don't laugh at me. Please don't laugh at me. I need to speak to Grace and find out few things to myself. I'm going to talk to her for a while, right? He explained the situation in a roundabout way. A roundabout, you know what is a roundabout, right? It's roundabout always goes around. I mean, it never comes to the center. It means it's in other words, Jagan said this in ironical way. අර කියන්නේ වහින් ඔරෝබාසාවෙන් කියන්නේ කෙලින් කියන්නේ නෑ. And just in ironical way, he asked the help. He didn't say the real reason, right? There's some kind of problem between Mali and Grace, and that's why I want to clarify. That's why I want to speak to Grace. That things he never says, right? Roundabout way without letting the cousin know too much. The cousin knew that a lot of things were being hidden from him. Anyway, cousin is not a fool as well, right? And cousin, of course, cousin can sense this. Cousin is a man, has a lot of knowledge, right? Knowledge that he's found from real life experiences, right? I mean, like he didn't go to college. He's a man matured by interactions with people, right? So cousin knew like, there's something, right? This guy is not telling me. There's some kind of a hidden issue here. Why Grace is going to America? There's a secret here. Cousin knows that. Knew that there's a lot of things were being hidden from him, but he did not mind. But for cousin, no, it's not my business, cousin thought, right? He said, I see Grace sometimes visiting the Dr. Kuruvilla's house, right? Kuruvilla's house means there's another prominent place in Malgudi. So cousin says, I have seen sometimes Grace is going to this Dr. Kuruvilla's house. She has friend there whom she known in America. There's a friend in that doctor's house where Grace knows her since they were in America, right? Shall I speak to her and say that you want to see her? Shall I speak to Grace and say that father wants to meet you? Won't Mali be with her? I mean, like, will Mali be with Grace in these occasions, right? Sometimes she spends her time with the girls in that house while Mali goes out with his friends. Yeah, sometimes Grace goes to this house and spend the time with this Dr. Kuruvilla's house, right? With the girls there. But Mali sometimes leave Grace there and just go to meet his friends, right? Jagan had to hold his soul in peace for the next 2 days. Now 2 days are passing without anything happening, and Jagan has to wait for 2 days. Why? While the cousin thought out ways of decoying Mali. Now cousin thought of a way of decoying Mali. Decoying means, right, distracting or kind of decoy means distract the attention, right? For example, it's like lead Mali for something else, giving time for Jagan just to meet Grace. That's the idea, decoying. For example, when you are fishing, right? When you go to fish, you put these baits, right? baits, kind of worms or kind of small fish or kind of a piece of meat in the hook, and just throw that to the water and wait. Why? We use that bait to decoy, kind of cheat, kind of get the attention of the fish. That's called a decoy. I mean, like kind of a thing, a kind of a technique we use to get the attention of someone else in a kind of a more strategic maneuvering way, right? That's called a decoy. It's kind of distracting, right? Yes. Ways of decoying Marley, leaving the line clear for Jagan to speak to Grace. So Cousin is planning now, right? Just to take Marley out of the place for a while. So Grace is alone. Jagan have enough time to speak with Grace. If Marley is there, you know, Jagan can't talk. Jagan can't question Grace. Jagan can't ask all the things that he want to ask from Grace, right? So there's issue. So they have to wait till Marley is out of the picture, right? Leaving the line clear for Jagan to speak to Grace. One afternoon, he arrived on his usual tasting duty. I mean, like one evening, suddenly, as usual, right? Cousin came to the shop to taste the sweets. Wiping his mouth with a towel. After eating, he's wiping the mouth with the towel and just coming out. He said, if you are prepared to leave the shop, you can meet Grace at home. Now, immediately, if you prepare to leave the shop, means like, at this moment, if you are ready to leave the shop, go from the shop, Grace is at home. But you know, this time is very private time for Jagan. Right? After little time, the first earnings come. The bronze jug comes, right? From the little boy brings the bronze jug. But that's why he says, like, if you are prepared to leave the shop right now, you can meet Grace at home. You can go home and meet Grace. And Marley is waiting for me at the judge's house. Now, Marley is at this moment is in the judge's house and he's waiting for me to come there. I'm going there, right? I have promised to go with him to look for a plot for the ground on Hill Road. So I have promised Marley to go with him to find a plot. Plot means a land here. A land, a piece of land, a plot. Idamak. That's the idea, right? A piece of land just to build the factory, right? In the Hill Road. That's why we have to go to inspect that place. So Marley is in the judge's house right now. I'm going there. So we both go to the Hill Road just to find a plot. So now is the chance. If you're prepared to go, leave the shop, you can go home and just talk with Grace, right? And when he said like traveling to Hill Road, Jagan asked, what for? What are you looking this plot for? What is the purpose you are finding this land? Cousin replies, for building his factory. He's going to build the factory, so he has to have a land to build the factory. That's the land we are going to find out right now, right? Jagan says, what rubbish. He is talking like a big financer. If he has the money for it, why does he ask me? What rubbish is this? What kind of a ridiculous situation is this? Like, okay, if he has the money just to build the factory, if to buy this land and everything, do this expenditure, why the hell he is behind me? Why is Marley asking me all this money? Why is troubling me then? He could do the work on himself, right? What kind of big talk is this? What kind of rubbish is this? Going to find out land? Even without not having the money just to buy this? I mean, like talking about factories, talking about land, talking about big business, buying shares. What rubbish is this? Where does he have the money? If he has the money, why does he ask me? I mean, like Jagan got little desperate here, like a little out of control here, right? Cousin replies, everyone in the town thinks of him as a big businessman. He talks well. I mean, like, see, I don't know about that. I mean, like, in Galgudi, everyone thinks Marley as a big businessman. He has the money. He's like a very well reputed businessman. He talks, right? He discusses this place with people. Says Cousin, right? Yes, to everyone except me, said Jagan resentfully, right? Jagan is a little upset now, yeah, he talks to everyone, right, in the town as a businessman, but not to me. For me, when it comes to me, he asks me money, right? That's the hidden idea here, right? He doesn't have this money, in other words, right? Just to do this business. He's just only a talk shop. He talks and, shows off. He just shows off that he's a big businessman, but he doesn't have the money even just to, start this thing. So to everyone, he's a businessman, big, smart businessman. But for me, he's not a businessman, right? Said Jagan very kind of resentfully. The cousin said, "Well, we'll talk all this later. Will you go home?" No, no, no. Okay. We'll talk those things later, right? Are you going home right now just to meet Grace? This is the right moment. This is the right time for that. Mal is going out of town and won't be back until evening. Till the evening, Mal will be not coming home, right? I'll stay here until you come back. I can stay here, right? I'll attend to that, and I'll stay here in the shop till you come to the shop again. There will be others to go with Mali. I mean, like others can attend Mali, and So don't worry, I'll take care of the shop right now for you. You can go home and just talk with Grace. Yes, Jagan went home. Yeah, Jagan left the shop, right? Jagan went home, washed himself, went into the puja room, stood before the gods and prayed, "Please help me, enlighten me. I don't know what to do." I mean, like, first thing Jagan went to the home, didn't just go to meet Grace. He went directly, washed himself, cleaned himself immediately, and went to the puja room, where his private place, and start praying, first of all, before the meeting. Stood before gods and prayed, "Please help me, God, enlighten me." Enlighten me means give me knowledge. Give me knowledge. I don't know what to do. Guide me. In other words, I don't know what to do. So you guide me. You show me things, right? Enlighten me. He stood in meditation for a second, then reinforced in the spirit, knocked on the middle door of the hall. After praying a little bit, asked the God's help. After some time in front of God, like a second, after a meditation for a second, he immediately went to the other side, right, of the house and knocked on the middle door in the hall. It was unusual for him to come home at this hour. I mean, like, it is very unusual for Jagan just to come home this hour, right? He comes somewhere around 7:30 normally, right? After the shops is closed and everything. But this is somewhere around 4, right? 4:30. He's here. Very unusual. He normally never comes at this time, right? And it was unusual for him to come to this home at this hour. The place looked strangely different, with the afternoon sun coming in at odd corners through the open court. Now, for him, the evening is very unusual as well, right? Why? This is very rarely Jagan comes home at this hour, right? So now it's evening. The sun is setting. Whenever Jagan came out of the shop, it is dark, right? You can ඉස්සර කඩෙන් එළියට එනකොට හැමදාම කරවලේනේ ගෙදර එන්නේ. අද වේලාසනින් ගෙදර ආවම වටපිට වෙලම හවස් වෙලා ඉර බෑල යනවා. හරි වෙනස් මිනිහට, right? Just like it's not the regular routine, right? So he's kind of, yes, it's strange to him as well. Afternoon sun was coming in and odd corners through the open court in the house, right? This looks like somebody else's home, he reflected. Oh my God, this place looks like a strange house, right? It's someone else's house. Because in other words, he has not been in his own house, right? For some time in the evening. ඒක තමන්ගේ ගෙදරවත් හවසට දැකපු නැති මිනිස්සෙක් මේ කාලෙකින්. ඇයි උදේට යනවා රැට එනවා උදේට යනවා රැට එනවා උදේ වෙනවා රැ වෙනවා කඩේ කියන්නේ ඒ දවල්ට ගෙදර ආවට කොහමදවත් කියලා දැකලා නැහැ. Right? There are some people even today in our society like this, right? In working for big companies. They go in the morning, do overtime, comes in the night, and go to the work in the morning, comes in the night, go to the work in the morning, comes in the night. They don't know, like, in the daytime what this house looks like, right? They don't even go for holidays. They don't go, they are so workaholics, right? In other words, but the idea is that Jagan is a kind of workaholic, right? That's why he's totally dedicated to work. He has missed these things, simple things. He has missed in his life, right? See that now R.K. Narayan doesn't say this thing to us directly, but indirectly let us know like this guy doesn't know what his house look like in the evening means he's a workaholic, in other words, right? Uh, is reflected, and it's yeah, he looks like somebody else's home, he reflected, and it confirmed his recent feeling that he was no longer his old self. I mean, like with this feeling, yeah, now Jagan feels like he's in a new genre, right? He always thinks now there's something transcending thing happening in him, right? He's into something new, so that's why he sees things very differently nowadays, right? So he's even early today. Now he's in a new Janma, he's in a new life. Something is happening inside him. So he sees things differently. So anyway, these thoughts hits Jagan's head as well. He recollected the bearded man's advice during the rambles. Rambles means this kind of walk there. He remembered what bearded man said. At first, don't hurry, but when you decide, be swift and positive, right? Yeah, first don't rush, first don't hurry up things, just calm down first. But when you have made the decision, be swift and positive, definitely execute your plan. Don't hurry to make a decision. Once you make your decision, stick to the decision, be precise, be positive, and execute it. That's what, in other words, what the bearded man has said. Those things came into Jagan's mind. That was more or less what he learned from Gandhi. Yes, in other words, this is something like what Gandhiji taught him, right? The bearded man's advice is very compatible, very parallel with, in other words, with Gandhiji's teachings, right? But the lessons seem to have worn out. I mean, like the idea seem to have worn out means little old right nowadays, but still the thoughts are the same, right? He remembered how, as a volunteer over 20 years ago, he had rushed into a British collector's bungalow and climbed the roof in order to bring down the Union Jack and plant the Indian flag in its place, right? So in nowadays, he remembers something back. This is another reflection. This is another flashback. They can immediately get an idea from the past, right? He remembered how as a volunteer, he means not a regular soldier thing. He volunteered in his own will. He went to this freedom fight as an Indian. 20 years ago, he had rushed into a British collector's bungalow, a British officer's bungalow. He went to that and climbed the roof alone, right? Alone, he just climbed the roof of the British collector's bungalow, and in the bungalow on the top there was this white English flag, right? British flag. He remembered he pulling out the flag out of that bungalow's rooftop and just bringing it down, right? So it's a heroic act in those days. Union Jack can plant an Indian flag in its place, not only just bringing down the white flag. He put an Indian flag in the top of the British officer's house in bungalows, right? Helmeted police were standing guard in the compound. So why is this a bravery? Why is this a valiant act? Because this bungalow was guarded by so many helmeted British soldiers, like helmeted police. These police people with helmets in those days, right? Even in these old clips, when we get a chance just to revisit our past, we see in those post-colonial, I mean, like the colonial days, actually, these are not post-colonial times, these are colonial times, where this, soldiers have this kind of fancy hats, fancy headgears and everything, right? So the helmeted police were standing guard in the compound, but the speed of this action completely took them by surprise, and they had to clamber after him to the roof, but not before he seized the Union Jack into a crocodile grip and hugged the flag post while attempting to plant his own flag. I mean, what has happened? See, some kind of a heroic action has happened when Jagan was young. I mean, like, Jagan was active, right? Jagan was so heroic. I mean, like, nowadays we just think that he's a very coward father. He's a very coward man. is a very kind of a recalling, withdrawing person. But when he's young, see, there's a lot of energy. He has done something brave. The other people are reluctant to do alone, right? I mean, like when maybe there were some other people right around him, but still alone, he climbed into the roof of a British officer's collector's house and took off the jack in the British flag while the other were following him. Imagine the other officers also climbing the roof, right? I mean, like this British boys is following him, still climbing the roof because they want to bring him down, right? They don't want an intruder just to bring the British flag down. It's a kind of a it's kind of unhealthy thing for them. It's like not actually. It's like a disdainful thing for them. It means like it's a damage to their reputation. This is a place guarded by soldiers, right? එම soldiers ලා guard කරලා ඉන්න තැනකට අපි හිතමු දැන් ඔයා හිතන්නකෝ American embassy ලංකාවේ just right, there are a lot of cameras, lot of CC I mean like guards are there. In the rooftop there's this American flag. Imagine, right? වාට පුළුවන් ද ටක් ගාලා ගිහිල්ලා වහලට නැගලා ඒ flag එක ගලවලා සිංහ කොඩියක් වගේ දෙයක් ගහන්න එතන. No, I mean like it's a very risky act, right? Imagine something like that, even worse than that. Such a brave act, right? Immediately this guy just clambered, means climbed the roof, and the police was just following him, just climbing the roof behind him, right? But he was not afraid, he was not scared, immediately went up, right? Just into the roof, but not before he sees the Union Jack in a crocodile grip. It's a tight grip, a very tight grip. He just took off the Union Jack and tried to put the flag and hugged the flag post, means kissed, kind of kissed and hugged. I mean, hold it tightly. Because he was, when he's getting ready to do the next action, while attempting to attempting to plant, means now since the English flag is down, he was trying to put the British flag. They had to beat him and crack open his skull in order to make him let go his hold. I mean, like the soldiers hit him very hard. He got a severe beating, and some has used a kind of a club just to hit him. His skull cracked somewhere in his head. The skull little bit cracked, right? ඔළුව පැලෙන්න වැදුනා පාරක්. I mean, like, so he bled and kind of fell down, right? He couldn't accomplish the task, but he was bleeding, and after that he couldn't do what he planned to do, right? So he came up unconscious, right? He opened his eyes 15 days later in the hospital and lay forgotten in a prison afterwards. I mean, like, that's why he went to the jail. I mean, like, he woke up in a hospital. Luckily he didn't die, right? He could die. Why? Imagine if the British soldiers police shot him, used the guns. What happened? Jagan would die. And they can't, go to the law and sue against the British, because Jagan is the one who did the illegal thing. He is the one who went against the law. So if the law shoots him, he can't ask for help from the law, because he's the one who did the nasty thing here. Right? In Sri Lanka, certain things happen. When the independence struggle happened in Sri Lanka, there was a monk, a very valiant, kind of a brave monk, who tore the Union Jack. හාමුදුරුව කෙනෙක් මතකයිද? එංගලන්තේ කොඩිය කැඩුවා, ඉරුවා, and just burn it and just put it, not burn it, just put it down and just stomp on it. What happened? He was shot, right? They shot him. He died. So if they can do certain things to people, right? Because they were in power, they were ruthless. In that case, he died. Our monk died. But Jagan was lucky. He only got a beating. Unless he could die on the spot. Such a risky thing. We should understand these things, right? That's why I'm giving all these examples. So you know the context. It's not just the act itself, right? It's a very risky thing that just he was gambling with his life. මේ ජීවිතේ මරණය හැතර වැඩක් මේක. මේ අද we are in today's context we are laughing at Jagan as a weak father, weak person, doesn't have a personality, things like that we may accuse. But when he was young, definitely he had a personality. He took risks. He was much more energetic. Right? That's shown suddenly out of the context, right? I mean, like even now, Jagan is in front of Mali's part of the house and knocking. By these things, it shows that Jagan had a kind of a aggressive past as well, right? And forgotten in a prison afterwards. There are times with Satyagraha he has to act first and think afterwards. Then there were times when the times were changed. And when the Satyagraha, graha means, you go without food as if to protest, as if to make, even in nowadays, when there are protests, right, you see most of campus students, university students do this Satyagraha, right? They go for a hut, they refrain from food, and just to make an impression, they go for a fight, do or die. Either I will die without food till I fight and get the attention and get our requirements. It's a way of Satyagraha, it's a way of protesting, right? It's a non-violent act. It's a kind of non-violent way of winning your demands. Is a Satyagraha, that kind of system, right? Introduced by Mahatma Gandhi, actually. Actually, it's not introduced. I mean, like Mahatma Gandhi used these things, right? He made these things out as political tools just to win the battle. Has to act first and think afterwards, right? Then came the Satyagraha days. They were doing first, acting first, and thinking afterwards, right? Once a Satyagraha, always a Satyagraha. I mean, like once the hunger strike, kind of this hunger strike, right, is a Satyagraha, right? If one was not acting for truth against the British, one was acting for truth in some other matter, in personal affairs, or in all sort of things. I mean, like the idea is like if one was not acting for truth against the British, one was acting for truth in some other matter, in personal affairs, right? So the thing is like one has to make a decision nowadays. One has to act. Now this is a very dense line, Pute, right? You can't simply escape a line like this. Mostly teachers even doesn't get the significance of such a line. It's a very big line. If one was not acting for truth against the British, one was acting for truth in some other matter, in personal affairs, in all sort of things. It means the other is that you have to act in a certain pace of certain things. I mean, to fight, you have to act. It cannot, I mean, like, it may not be acting against the British, but even in your real life, sometimes to make a decision, you have to act. Act is the first thing. In feminism, we call this, in feminism, there's a very famous saying called personal is political. What is personal is political? It means you have to act. Acting itself is a political act. Like battle itself, fighting itself is a political act. You have to take part in something. I mean, like, forget the British context here. Even in his real life, right? Either way, a person sometimes had to make these decisions. He has to act, right? Again, පුද්ගලානුබද්ධ බවම දේශපාලනිකයි කියන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ පුද්ගලයා දේශපාලනිකයි කියන එක. The idea is like whatever decision like you take, you do act on it is a political act itself. Person is political, right? That's a very important idea hidden here. That was brought forward by feminists, right? But here it's kind of a parallel here. What is hidden here is like, okay, forget that they have to act against the British. Even in real life, sometimes the enemy is like these British people, the British invasion. So you have to act against it. You have to fight against it, right? So you have to be brave. Sometimes there's a risk in acting against these things, but still, despite that risk, you have to act, That's the idea here. Anyway, right, in all sort of things, his training was always there. So Jagan, I mean, like from these struggles, life struggles, Jagan always had this hindsight, right? Kind of uh, teaching, learning from these acts. So that's the idea here, right?